Right now, somewhere deep in the mountains of Oregon or the backwoods of Maine, a logging skidder built 40 years ago is still dragging timber like it rolled off the factory floor yesterday. These machines aren't just equipment, they're legends passed down through generations of loggers who would sooner sell their trucks than part with their skidders. Today, we're counting down the 10 most beloved logging skidders ever made, machines that changed the timber industry forever, and a few that loggers still fight over at auction. Number 10. The Garrett Tree Farmer C-Series. Let's kick things off with a machine that helped start it all. Before the big names dominated the market, a company called Garrett Manufacturing out of Portland, Oregon, was quietly revolutionizing how timber got moved out of the woods. Their machines were called Tree Farmers, and they were among the very first rubber-tired skidders to gain widespread popularity in the logging industry. The Tree Farmer line emerged in the late 1950s and early 1960s, at a time when most loggers were still relying on crawler tractors, or even horses and mules to skid logs. What made the Tree Farmer special was its simplicity and compact size. Early models were powered by small Ford gasoline engines and ran on standard farm tractor tires. They weren't the biggest machines in the woods, but they were nimble, affordable, and easy to maintain, three qualities that meant everything to small-scale loggers and independent operators. The C-Series models, including the popular C5 and C7, became the backbone of many small logging operations throughout the 1960s and 1970s. These machines featured manual transmissions, drive shaft brakes, and a straightforward mechanical design that any handy logger could repair with basic tools. The C7D, for example, came equipped with a Detroit diesel 4-cylinder engine and a fixed grapple, a serious step up from the earlier gas-powered models. Garrett eventually sold the Tree Farmer brand, and it changed hands several times over the decades. Franklin Equipment acquired the brand in 1990 and continued manufacturing Tree Farmer skidders until Franklin itself ceased production in 2010. But even today, you'll still find old Tree Farmer skidders working in woodlots across North America, a testament to their rugged simplicity. What made the Tree Farmer truly beloved wasn't raw power or cutting-edge technology. It was accessibility. This was the machine that proved a rubber-tired skidder could replace a team of horses. And it opened the door for every skidder that followed. Number 9. The Franklin 170. Speaking of Franklin, let's talk about one of their own original designs, the Franklin 170. This machine earned a devoted following, particularly in the northeastern United States and southeastern Canada, where its combination of power, reliability, and simplicity made it the go-to choice for countless logging outfits. The Franklin 170 was manufactured from the late 1980s through the 2000s in Franklin, New Hampshire. It was a cable skidder at heart, though it could also be equipped with a grapple. Most models were powered by either a Cummins 5.9-liter or a John Deere 6068 diesel engine, delivering around 150 to 180 horsepower, plenty of muscle for the hardwood forests of New England and the Appalachian region. What loggers loved about the Franklin 170 was its rugged construction, and the fact that it was built with widely available off-the-shelf components. When something broke, and in the woods things always break, parts were easy to find and relatively affordable. The machine used standard Cummins or John Deere engines, clock transmissions, and generic drivetrain components that any competent mechanic could work on. The Franklin 170 also had a reputation for being incredibly tight and well-built right from the factory. Loggers praised its strong center section, reliable hydraulics, and solid articulated steering. At an operating weight of approximately 20,000 pounds, it was light enough to work in sensitive ground conditions without tearing up the forest floor, yet heavy enough to pull serious timber. When Franklin Equipment shut its doors in 2010, it left a real void in the market. Many loggers mourned the loss, and to this day, used Franklin 170 skidders command strong prices at auction. It's a machine that punched well above its weight, and the loggers who ran them remember that. Number 8. The Caterpillar 518. Caterpillar entered the skidder market with the kind of engineering muscle you'd expect from one of the world's largest heavy equipment manufacturers. The Cat 518 became one of their most iconic logging machines, earning a rock-solid reputation for durability and pulling power that made it a favorite in the Pacific Northwest and beyond. The original Cat 518 was introduced in the mid-1970s and was powered by the legendary Cat 3304 diesel engine. This four-cylinder power plant was already proven in countless other Caterpillar machines, and it brought that same bulletproof reliability to the skidder world. The 518 came in both cable and grapple configurations, and it featured Caterpillar's signature articulated steering and heavy-duty wet disc brakes. The 518C, introduced in the late 1980s, refined the formula even further. It retained the proven 3304B engine and added improvements to the hydraulic system, operator comfort, and overall machine balance. With a 3-speed power-shift transmission, hydraulically engaged differential locks, and a robust 7-foot blade, the 518C was a serious workhorse capable of handling big timber in steep, demanding terrain. What really set the Cat 518 apart was Caterpillar's legendary build quality. These machines were overbuilt in the best possible way. The frames were heavier, the components were beefier, and the overall machine just felt more substantial than many of its competitors. In the Pacific Northwest, where the trees are enormous and the terrain is brutal, that extra durability wasn't a luxury, it was a necessity. One thing that old-timers always mention about the 518 is the sound. That 3304 diesel had a distinctive rumble that you could hear echoing through the valley before you ever saw the machine. It became the soundtrack of Pacific Northwest logging in the 1980s and 1990s, and for many veteran loggers, hearing that engine note still brings back decades of memories. Even decades after production ended, Cat 518 skidders are still running in the woods. They've become collector's items in some circles, with well-maintained examples selling for premium prices. For many old-school loggers, the 518 represents the gold standard of what a skidder should be. A machine built without compromise, designed to do one job and do it better than anything else on the mountain. Number 7. The John Deere 440. Now let's talk about the machine that started one of the most important lineages in skidder history. The John Deere 440 cable skidder was introduced in the mid-1960s and marked John Deere's official entry into the purpose-built logging skidder market. It was a modest machine by today's standards, but it laid the foundation for more than half a century of John Deere forestry equipment. The original JD 440 was powered by a John Deere 4-cylinder engine producing 59 horsepower. It came with an integrated blade, winch, arch, canopy, and log bumper. Essentially everything a logger needed in one compact package. The machine featured articulated frame power steering, an oscillating front axle for better stability on uneven ground, and a hydraulically actuated winch with a 14,500-pound capacity. As the years went on, John Deere refined the 440 through several generations. The 440A arrived in the late 1960s, followed by the 440B in the 1970s, with approximately 70 horsepower and improvements to reliability and maintenance access. The 440C came next in the late 1970s and early 1980s, becoming especially popular among loggers working with small to medium-sized timber. It was known for its tight turning radius and ease of maintenance. The 440D, introduced in 1983 as part of the D series, brought a turbocharged John Deere diesel engine rated at 85 horsepower, a 6-speed synchro-range transmission, and wet disc power brakes that never needed adjusting. It also added an oscillating front axle and reversible narrow and wide gauge wheels and tires, giving operators greater versatility in different forest conditions. The John Deere 440 series is beloved not just for what it was, but for what it represented. It was the beginning of John Deere's commitment to the forestry industry, a commitment that would eventually make them the world's leading manufacturer of logging skidders. Every modern Deere skidder carries the DNA of that original JD 440. Number 6. The Timberjack 450. Timberjack is a name that carries enormous weight in the logging world, and the 450 is one of the models that earned that reputation. Manufactured from the mid-1970s through the 1990s, the Timberjack 450 was a medium to large cable and grapple skidder that became a staple in timber operations across North America. The original Timberjack 450 was equipped with a Caterpillar 3208 diesel engine, producing around 140 horsepower, paired with a 3 or 4-speed power-shift gearbox. The hydraulic system operated at 2,500 psi with a 40-gallon-per-minute flow rate, providing efficient power for both winch and grapple operations. Tire options included 23.1 by 26 or 24.5 by 32 sizes, offering excellent traction and ground clearance for deep woods and soft or rocky terrain. The 450 evolved through several variants. The 450A and 450B brought incremental improvements, while the 450C, produced through the mid-1990s, became the definitive version. The 450C was powered by a Cummins 5.9-liter diesel and featured a Clark transmission, a combination that loggers found both powerful and easy to service. What made the Timberjack 450 special was its balance of power and maneuverability. It was big enough to handle serious timber, but nimble enough to work efficiently in tighter stands. Timberjack also had a reputation for building machines from widely available generic components: Cummins engines, Clark transmissions, off-the-shelf hydraulics, which meant repairs were straightforward and parts were never hard to find. Timberjack was eventually acquired by John Deere in 2000, and the brand was gradually phased out. But the 450, along with its larger siblings, the 460 and 480, left an indelible mark on the industry. Many loggers who grew up running Timberjack equipment still speak of these machines with genuine affection. There's a reason you still see Timberjack decals on hard hats and lunchboxes in logging camps across North America. The brand earned a level of loyalty that transcended the machines themselves. The 450 was the heart of that loyalty, a machine that worked as hard as the people who ran it and asked for very little in return. Number 5. The Caterpillar 525C. Moving into the top 5, we have the Caterpillar 525C, a machine that many loggers consider to be one of the finest grapple skidders Caterpillar ever produced. Introduced in the mid-2000s as a replacement for the 525B, the 525C combined Caterpillar's legendary durability with modern engineering improvements that boosted both productivity and operator comfort. The 525C was powered by a Cat C7 engine with ACET technology, producing 204 net horsepower. This engine met EPA Tier 3 emissions standards while delivering the same robust power and torque that loggers expected from a Cat skidder. The 5-speed powershift transmission, paired with a large heavy-duty torque converter, provided excellent skidding power across all ground conditions. One of the standout features of the 525C was its redesigned grapple system. The bunching grapples featured a strong box section construction with higher clamping forces for faster log loading. Caterpillar's auto-grab system constantly monitored and adjusted tongue pressure to maintain a secure grip on loads without wasting hydraulic power, a clever innovation that reduced both fuel consumption and log loss during skidding. The 525C also featured Caterpillar's weight-forward design, which kept the machine stable even on steep grades while hauling large loads. Heavy-duty inboard final drives and wet disc brakes were protected from the harsh logging environment, reducing maintenance and extending component life. The pressurized cab with air suspension seat, air conditioning, and excellent visibility made long days in the woods more bearable. At roughly 25 feet in length, and with an operating weight that gave it a commanding presence on the job site, the 525C handled everything from thinning operations to large-scale clear cuts with ease. For Caterpillar loyalists, this machine represents the peak of what the company achieved in the skidder market before restructuring its forestry equipment lineup. Number 4. The John Deere 648G. The John Deere 648G is one of those machines that loggers just flat-out refuse to let go of. Produced in the late 1990s and early 2000s as part of John Deere's incredibly popular G-Series, the 648G was a high-powered grapple skidder that set new standards for pulling power, reliability, and operator ergonomics. Powered by a John Deere 6068 turbocharged diesel engine producing approximately 145 to 155 horsepower. The 648G delivered massive torque in a machine that was responsive and controllable. The powershift transmission allowed smooth gear changes under load, and independently engaging front and rear axles gave operators fine-tuned control over traction in varying terrain conditions. The 648G weighed approximately 28,150 pounds, heavy enough for serious pulling power, but balanced well enough to maintain stability on slopes. Its dual-function grapple could open wide enough to grab large bunches, and the hydraulic system provided smooth, precise control over both grapple and winch operations. What really made the 648G beloved was its combination of power and durability. The G-Series Deere skidders were known for going tens of thousands of hours with proper maintenance, and the 648G was no exception. Loggers routinely reported running these machines for 15,000, 20,000, or even 25,000 hours before major overhauls, numbers that translated directly into profitability and return on investment. The 648G also went through Series 2 and Series 3 upgrades, each bringing refinements to the hydraulic system, operator station, and overall machine performance. These iterations showed John Deere's commitment to continuous improvement, and each version was met with enthusiasm from the logging community. To this day, the 648G remains one of the most sought-after used skidders on the market. When one comes up for sale in good condition, it doesn't last long. That kind of demand, years after production ended, tells you everything you need to know about how loggers feel about this machine. Number 3. The Tigercat 630. At number 3, we have a machine from a company that, while newer to the game, has earned an almost fanatical following in the logging world. The Tigercat 630 is a four-wheel grapple skidder that has been refined through multiple generations. The 630C, 630D, 630E, and now the 630H, each one building on the success of the last. Tigercat, based in Brantford, Ontario, Canada, entered the skidder market in 1997 and quickly established a reputation for building machines that were specifically designed for professional logging, not adapted from construction equipment, but purpose-built from the ground up for the forest. The 630 series reflects that philosophy in every detail. These machines are powered by proven diesel engines. Earlier models used Cummins power plants, while current H-series models use FPT engines, producing around 250 to 262 horsepower. The operating weight of approximately 37,000 to 45,000 pounds, depending on the generation and configuration, gives the 630 series pulling authority, while the dual-arch grapple design can handle enormous loads. One of the most distinctive features of the Tigercat 630H is the 220-degree turnaround seat system. The operator's seat, along with full machine controls, rotates to provide clear sight lines to the load, the grapple, all four wheels, and the trail ahead. This isn't just a comfort feature, it's a productivity and safety innovation that fundamentally changes how an operator interacts with the machine. The 630 also features Tigercat's hydrostatic drive system with electronic control technology, allowing the skidder to operate at automatic variable engine RPM. This means the machine adjusts power delivery based on demand, improving fuel efficiency without sacrificing performance. In demanding extraction operations around the world, from the pine plantations of the southeastern United States to steep slope logging in South America, the Tigercat 630 has proven itself as one of the most capable and reliable skidders on the market. Loggers who switch to Tigercat rarely switch back, and the 630 is the biggest reason why. What also sets Tigercat apart is their company culture. This is a privately held, family-owned company that designs, engineers, and manufactures everything in-house in Canada. They don't outsource critical components and they don't cut corners. Every 630 that rolls out of the Brantford factory reflects that philosophy. It's a machine built by people who understand logging and respect the loggers who depend on their equipment every single day. That authenticity resonates with the forestry community in a way that corporate marketing never could. Number 2. The John Deere 540G. Coming in at number 2 is what many loggers consider to be the perfect all-around skidder, the John Deere 540G. If the 648G was the heavy hitter of the G-Series lineup, the 540G was its more versatile sibling, offering a balance of power, size, and agility that made it ideal for a wider range of logging applications. The 540G was a cable skidder that could also be equipped with a grapple. It was powered by a John Deere 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel engine and featured the same refined power shift transmission that made the entire G-Series so popular. At a lighter operating weight than the larger 648G, the 540G excelled in thinning operations, selective harvesting, and any situation where a smaller footprint and gentler touch were needed. What made the 540G so beloved was its versatility. This was a machine that could work in tight hardwood stands in Appalachia one season and be moved to a pine plantation in Georgia the next. It was nimble enough to navigate between standing timber without causing excessive damage, yet powerful enough to drag full-sized logs to the landing efficiently. The G-Series brought significant improvements in operator comfort as well. The cab was quieter, the controls were more ergonomic, and visibility was improved over previous generations. For operators spending 8 to 10 hours a day in the seat, these improvements made a real difference in fatigue, productivity, and job satisfaction. The 540G also went through Series 2 and Series 3 versions, each incorporating feedback from loggers in the field. John Deere's willingness to listen to its customers and make targeted improvements was a major reason the G-Series earned such fierce loyalty. When loggers talk about the golden era of John Deere skidders, the G-Series is almost always what they're referring to, and the 540G sits right at the heart of that legacy. It's a machine that did everything well, lasted forever with proper care, and never let its operator down when the going got tough. The 540G also benefited from John Deere's extensive dealer network, which meant that no matter where you were logging, from the redwood country of Northern California to the spruce forests of Nova Scotia, there was a dealer nearby with parts on the shelf and a trained technician ready to help. In an industry where a day of downtime can cost thousands of dollars, that kind of support infrastructure was every bit as important as the machine itself. It's a lesson that every equipment manufacturer has learned, and John Deere wrote the playbook with machines like the 540G. Number 1. The John Deere 648H. And at number 1, we have the machine that many loggers, dealers, and industry veterans consider the greatest logging skidder ever made. The John Deere 648H. The 648H was introduced as part of John Deere's H-Series in the mid-2000s, and it represented the culmination of everything John Deere had learned from more than 4 decades of manufacturing skidders. Every lesson from the 440, every improvement from the D-Series, E-Series, and G-Series, it all came together in the H-Series, and the 648H was the crown jewel. Powered by a John Deere 6068H turbocharged diesel engine, the 648H produced around 175 horsepower, and delivered tremendous torque across the entire RPM range. The 6-speed power-shift transmission provided smooth, responsive gear changes that kept the machine moving efficiently in all conditions. A 127-inch winch and a dual-arch grapple with a massive opening gave operators the flexibility to handle virtually any log size or load configuration. The 648H introduced dual steer mode options, allowing operators to choose between conventional and coordinated steering depending on the terrain and the task at hand. This feature alone improved both maneuverability and tire life, giving loggers practical benefits that showed up directly on their bottom line. But what truly elevated the 648H to legendary status was its overall package. The combination of power, durability, serviceability, and operator comfort that made it the complete skidder. John Deere's dealer and service network ensured that parts and support were always available, no matter how remote the job site. The machine was designed for easy maintenance, with accessible service points and components that were built to last. Loggers who ran the 648H routinely praised it as the most productive skidder they'd ever operated. It could pull bigger loads, work longer hours, and keep going season after season with fewer breakdowns than any machine that came before it. In an industry where downtime means lost revenue, that kind of reliability is worth its weight in gold. The H-Series was eventually succeeded by the L-Series and then the L-Series 2 and 3, the latest models featuring continuously variable transmission technology that automatically senses load and delivers torque accordingly, eliminating the need to shift gears entirely. But for many loggers, the 648H remains the benchmark against which all other skidders are measured. It's the machine that defined an era and set the standard that every manufacturer, including John Deere itself, has been trying to match ever since. Ask a room full of loggers to name the best skidder ever built, and you'll get a spirited debate. But more often than not, the conversation circles back to the 648H. It wasn't the flashiest machine. It wasn't the most technologically advanced. But it was the most complete, a skidder that did everything a logger needed. Did it reliably and did it day after day, year after year, without excuses. That's why it sits at number 1 on our list. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the machines that built the world. Until next time, stay safe out there in the woods.